police is your friend. But is police really your friend? Because honestly, if you ask me, I would say the police is not exactly our friend, and they are indeed after our lives. The same set of people whose primary responsibility is to protect the lives and properties of the people are the ones who are after the lives of the people they're supposed to protect. 1 in 3 persons have experienced police brutality and harassment. Police brutality led to the EndSARS in 2020, and that has continued even after that. This is the briefing room, and we will be talking about the police brutality in Nigeria. I am Kelvin Raphael.
My name is Esther Mello. Police brutality is an issue that has been continuous for years. Until date, it's sad that we still have this conversation. From unwarranted arrest to harassment, extortion, it is continuous going on and on and on. The big question is, when are we going to put a stop to police brutality? The primary responsibility of the Nigerian police force is to protect life and property. However, we're seeing the reverse right here in Nigeria. That would be the crux of our conversation right here on the briefing room.
Of course, the police force are here to protect us. It is their primary responsibility. But sadly, they're doing the exact opposite. They're starting from us. You know, we have the stop and search, they stop you, they ask for your papers, your car documents, your driver's license. And even after presenting those documents, once they see that your documents are complete, you're free to go, right? But no, you're not free to go. You have to give them something.
Sometimes, even when they stop you, they do not necessarily ask for your papers. They go straight to asking you to give them money. And it's really sad because these are people, like we said during the introduction, that are supposed to protect us, that are supposed to secure us. However, the reverse is the case. And this has been on for years now. We see the policemen on the road that are meant to protect us, that are meant to help us, shield us. However, what we've experienced over the years is high-handedness, serious police brutality, where people are arrested without proper, arrest warrants. We see people getting harassed. Sometimes even when they stop you, the way and manner in which you're being stopped is really rude, Kelvin.
Very rude.
Really rude. And when you speak up, somehow they feel threatened when you speak up, but they refuse to see that their manner of approach is extremely bad and extremely poor. The big question, and I would say this, is for how long? Remember what happened in 2020? People died as a result of the protest.
Yeah.
But then did it stop police brutality?
It didn't stop.
No, it did not stop police brutality.
And SARS, for the police took over from the SARS.
Exactly. And one would say, okay, what exactly is leading to this, right? We would talk about the low salary pay. We would talk about the fact that these individuals, do they go through proper training, mental training? Because again, when you give someone rifle, you also need to check the person's temperament. What kind of training do they undergo before, they are being certified to even be on the road or given the uniform or certified as a Nigerian police? These are things we need to checkmate. Recently, a video was circulating online. It was from Justice Cracks, and Justice Cracks made a post about, it was a video of, this one, it was a military personnel that shared the video with him of the quality and the kind of food that they are being served while in camp. Please explain to me, and this is not me justifying why they do what they do.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the issues, did it contribute to it? Please explain to me why a policeman or even a military personnel who is being served that kind of food would come out and behave well on the road. That is why we
There's
see.
no way. It's not
Please
possible.
explain to
you
me.
have to be well fed to do your job effectively.
You have to be paid well to do your job effectively.
And speaking of their payments, so this police salary ranges from 43,000 to about 900,000 naira, depending on your rank. So the Inspector General of Police earns around 938,578 naira. And then we have the middle level ranks, we have the low level ranks. Those ones earn around 43,000 naira and even lower. And most of the ones you see on the road are the low level rank officials.
So you just mentioned 43,000. Can that
take care of a man with family? Because it's not even enough for a single person. But here is the thing, right? I do not pity police officers. I don't, because whenever the youth steps out to protest, they do not join the youth. Instead, they are fighting us who are fighting for them. We are fighting for you. We are fighting for all of us. And you're fighting us and protecting the people who you should be fighting against.
I was going to ask
Which is why I can never pity them. Even whether they're paying them 5,000 naira, that is your business. You deserve it. And I'm not going to speak for you.
I was going to ask, how much is the Senate President earning? You know, if a Nigerian police officer is earning 43,000 from 43,000, it's painful. It's sad. It's despicable.
I'm not saddened.
It's unheard of. No, it's unheard of.
I know.
And you know the crazy thing is that there are people at the top, at the, I wouldn't call names though, you know, at different levels. They'll tell you that, oh, when they're stationed on the road. So, you know, the road thing is a racket.
Yeah.
So they station you on the road. You're supposed to pay so amounts or give on a daily basis. You're supposed to give so amounts to your, oh yeah, are you shocked?
Really?
Girl, are you not a Nigerian?
What the?
You're supposed to give certain amounts to your boss on a daily basis. So yes, being on the road is like a big deal because that is where the extortion happens. That's so. I mean, by the time you extort drivers, there was a day I was on the road. I can't remember the particular road now. Lord help me. But the number of police guys I saw on the road. So it's like, and that is a road that we have more of commercial drivers. And I was almost going to make a video, just that it didn't occur to me on time.
Yeah.
You know, you move from one end to in Lagos. I'm not saying in Lagos. You move from one point to the other. These people are not checking your papers. They're not checking what you're carrying. They're not checking anything. What they're asking is for you to, in fact, you give them money, they'll give you your balance.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Interesting business.
It's that bad. And then I would also talk about the fact that a police officer wants to stop you on the road. And they feel so entitled to the point that you stop people and you cause, first of Lagos is, we know the traffic situation in Lagos. I think that we need to fix it in such a way that even if you want to do your stop and search, it doesn't affect other commuters. But what we've experienced is the moment the police guys, they're stationed, all of a sudden we have traffic. So they stop you, they're not parking you properly. In fact, even the way and the manner with which they even stop you, be wondering, are these individuals trained? Where are you people coming from? Who gave you the rifles that you're carrying? Who gave you the uniforms that you're carrying?
They are very reckless. And this recklessness has cost many lives, including the life of the late barrister Bolanle Ibrahim, who was shot in a car on Christmas Day. They were returning from church. That was about 2-3 years ago. They were returning from church and the police at Ajah asked her to stop. So the husband wanted to get off the road so he could park properly without blocking the road and obstructing other vehicles. And the next thing, the police officer pulled out his gun and shot the pregnant woman. She was pregnant, She died and her daughter died and her child died. It was news breaking. It was all over the news. Everybody talked about it.
It reminds me, the story you just told that reminds me of an experience I had during the building that collapsed, right? A building collapse that happened in Lagos. So as a reporter, I went to cover it. And then an incident happened where people were told, oh, don't pass this road, it's risky, blah, 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 blah. But the part that really caught my attention was the police officer that said to this young lad, I will waste you and nothing will happen.
And it's true.
He said,
yes,
like verbatim, I would waste you and nothing would happen.
And nothing would happen,
that's
actually.
The shock. You could feel the shock. I turned like, it's how he said it with so much confidence
because we do not have a working justice system, because they would do anything, commit any offense and go scot-free. Nobody's going to answer to that. Nobody's going to punish them.
So it brings me again to the next point, which is the state policing. If we've not fixed the ills that is happening in the Nigerian police force, if you go to their camp where they live, it is in deplorable shape, right? But let's leave the part. Now we're talking about state police, and we have a new IGP, Inspector General of Police, who is Olatunji Disu, right? And so far, he's submitted to the Senate a couple of pages work, you know, when you talk about the police reform.
Yeah.
And part of it is also state police. And there's been conversation around the fact that, see what is happening, you know, in the Nigerian police force that has not been fixed. And then we talk about, we're now talking about police, state policing. And are we really safe? If the personnel you have are not properly trained, they are not paid well, they are not fed well, you give them arms to come out on the streets, how are they supposed to protect life and property? You cannot give a hungry man a gun to be on the road and expect him to carry out expect him to protect the life of a citizen. It doesn't work that way. So I would say this to the IGP, to the inspector, the newly appointed Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu. While we're talking about state policing, and it's a good thing, it's not bad in any way, but while we're talking about state policing, can we also look at the reforms? Can we also look at the salary that these police guys earn? And do you know the sad part? They're not allowed to speak about it. Yeah. Have you seen a police officer, have you had a protest and then you see a police officer really speak up? They're not allowed.
They don't speak up.
They don't
we
speak
get
up.
it that you cannot
They're not
speak
allowed
up,
to speak
but when
up.
you see a protest, you see young people protesting for better governance, you should join them, which is why I do not pity police officers. And like I said before, even if they decide to start paying them 5,000 naira, that is their business. They deserve it. You see, after NSAS, I used to advocate for police officers. They should get better pay. They should get better healthcare, better living condition, you know, better houses. If you go to the barrack, the houses, these are not houses. This looks like prison. What is this? Where our security personnel live? This is not a house. This is prison. So I used to advocate for them before NSAS, but after NSAS, seeing everything they did during NSAS, I do not advocate for police officers anymore. A lot of them came out a couple of weeks ago and they were protesting for their pensions. A lot of them haven't gotten their pensions. Well, you will keep fighting for it.
Police officers.
Yeah, we will not. I will not join you in that fight. I do not think that the youth should join the police in any fight whatsoever. They deserve whatever they get in. They deserve whatever is coming to them. And if matters get out of hand, then the citizens might be forced to take matters into their own hands.
So
they don't. When you see a robbery attack,
I would say that two wrongs do not make a right.
But this very one would make a right.
And I would also say this, that what are the options on the table for them? I'm talking about the police officers. What are the options? You know, as citizens, perhaps we have plethora of options. What are the options of the Nigerian police force? When you have that uniform on, you have that rifle on, regardless of what you think, regardless of how you feel, you have to execute the task of your commander. So when they give instruction,
even when the task of your commander is at the detriment of your fellow citizens,
regardless of what they think. Sometimes when you have conversations with them when they're not on the uniform, you would realize that it feels as though when they wear their uniform, they become insane. But when they're not on their uniform, they're sane people. And it's really bad. So while we're having this conversation, I think it's also important that we also spotlight the fact that there are more deep-rooted issues. The fact that these guys are not treated well. The fact that we have, when you talk about payment of salary, it is nothing to write home about. The fact that where they stay. So even when they come out on the road, I feel like they're overdoing it, because recently there's been a lot of videos, and I love, God bless the Meta glasses that we have now. Yes,
Yeah.
I love it, because now we see that people are recording, and we're recording. Thank God we have social media, because prior to this time, what we've seen, well, we always hear it, but then we have high rate of unrecorded cases of police brutality. But with the recording, with the fact that you can record with your glasses, it just helps, even though it hasn't done so much, but at least it helps. I know that the current Inspector General of Police, that is Olatunji Disu, he's been very, very active. So I know that there was a case that happened, and he requested that particular police officer should be brought in immediately. And we want to see, that continue. And we want to see some sort of collaboration. A couple of weeks ago, the Nigerian Police Force had their police week. And I remember speaking to the CP, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos, and they had this walkathon, what they call it, and he said it was basically to build trust. Police is, and he said it again, the phrase, police is your friend.
Police is not your friend.
He said it. He said it again, that the whole purpose of them moving around is just to build this trust between the public and the police officer. But I think one of the reasons why we have the distrust is the fact that it didn't start today. However, we've paid lip service in terms of just ensuring that the commission and the Nigerian Police Force is properly put together. They're being paid well, proper accommodation, they're treated properly. And do you know what we have now? We have Nigerians who are leaving outside to join the forces or join the military outside of Nigeria.
Because they get better pay, they have better pension, they have better opportunities over there, they're treated well, they're treated like gods.
Yeah. By the way, there's a story right now, and this is a corps member that was recently killed by a military personnel. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll have that conversation right here. This is a conversation around police brutality, and this is because it's affecting you and I. Police is meant to be your friend. They're meant to protect us. However, the reverse is the case. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll have that conversation. Stick around.
Every brand has a story, but not every story is told the right way, and that's where Kavita comes in.
And I want to give a special shout out to Kavita Live.
Yeah, Kavita, we don't just shoot, we craft, create, and turn your vision into powerful stop-scrolling brand stories. Because visuals aren't meant to just look good, they are meant to capture attention, spark emotions, and drive actions. Kavita, structure for creatives.
Welcome back to the briefing room, talking about the police brutality. You can join the conversation by leaving a comment in the comment section. So Esther, this has been going on for years, and we have been talking about it. Now, 1 out of 3 people have experienced police brutality, and that is very terrible, considering the fact that the police are meant to be protecting us. Being a young person in Nigeria, being a wealthy young person in Nigeria is a problem. It is problematic because the moment you drive your car on the street, you're automatically a criminal.
Oh, we should even talk about...
They look at you as a criminal.
The moment you have dread.
And then the moment you have dread as well.
Tattoo.
Or you have tinted hair as well.
Yes, it becomes a problem. And do you know I have 2 younger brothers. And in all honesty, I'm really grateful that all my life I haven't heard any issue with, I haven't heard, nobody has called me, family to talk about, oh, they were arrested or police issue. But because some days I really get concerned. And I get concerned because of the videos and just basically daily experiences I see here in Lagos. Where you're not even allowed to speak. The moment you're accosted and you try to explain yourself, the next thing, somebody is pulling your trousers, somebody is pushing you, somebody is harassing you already.
Yeah.
But I was speaking to a case that happened, and this is by Abdulsamed Jamiu, who was shot and killed inside his home, but this time around it was by a Nigerian soldier. and he was killed in his house. Now, this has led to quite a number of, conversations online. Soldiers broke into a family home at 2 a.m. and shot Abdusamed Jamil in the head while he was in the room. They called it accidental discharge. Now, we still know that this is an ongoing case. However, for people to speak about this in this manner, and then the soldier is claiming that it was an accidental discharge, I think that proper investigation should be carried out. Yes, proper investigation should be carried out.
Why would you shoot at someone who didn't shoot at you? Because Western police officers, it is only when you're being shot at that you can actually shoot. So why are you shooting someone who's not shooting at you? You didn't see him with a gun, he wasn't hurting anything, and then you went ahead to shoot him. It is, as far as I'm concerned, it's not accidental. I believe that he just did it because he wanted to. We have seen videos of police officers trying to break into people's houses. No warrant. You say you're coming to arrest this person, no warrant, their doors are locked, and you're trying to break in. That is already a criminal offense. And now, let us move aside from the police angle and move on to the angle of the citizens. We as citizens too, we have our own problem, honestly. Do you remember, it was sometime last year, there was a video online, there was a case, a man who was taking his son to school and the police was trying to stop him and he was on full speed with his son. Eventually got into an accident and lost that child in the accident. The question is, why didn't you stop? You could have at least stopped. We know that if you stop, they're going to take money from you, but could you just obey them and stop? We need to learn to be obedient as well. We have had cases of people crossing the road instead of using the pedestrian, and then when the police stops you to address the issue, you pick a fence, you're like...
So I have a problem when something happens and the police would stop you. I know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. However, I think that we just overdo things in the sense that a policeman will stop you. Oh, why did you cross this line? Instead of just telling you, please step back. The next thing, they want to extort you. Anyway, we were on the street of Lagos and we spoke to Lagosians about the issue of police brutality. Take a look at what they said right here on the briefing room. Take a look.
Not directly though, but I've actually seen someone being harassed by the police and the actions were not right, actually. So it seems like the police are overriding their authorities on the citizens of the country, which is unfair. We all struggle to be whatever we are today, by either ways of our strength. And coming to face the government in the form of police, which is not helpful. They are not really doing their job. I think they are just using their uniform to, get funds out of citizens, which is probably not right. So I don't think that works. As a Nigerian, or let me just say, as a police force, your duty is to make sure that the interests of the citizens are secured. But it's so unfortunate we get the opposite today.
I can't remember anyone, but there was one I had an encounter with this kick against indiscipline Kai. So I was supposed to use the bridge and I crossed the road without using the bridge. I didn't actually see them. That was the first time going, trying to cross the road from Sele Express like that. And I had these people, they just held me on the hand and they were like, you disobeyed the law. They actually took me to where their signpost was, and I read it, I was like, God, how did I not see this? But at the end of the day, it was settled though. We had to find a way around it, and I was out. Although they didn't take me they actually collected money from me by the side, which I feel is wrong. Yeah, it's wrong, but that's Nigeria. But we had other people that crossed that road that were not, they didn't have to. I don't know, probably because I was looking good that day. I was just dressed and I was calm. So they had to, you understand. But I feel in Nigeria, if this law could be applied to everybody, Nigeria is going to be a better place. It doesn't matter your status quo, where you are from, or what particular post you are, or whatever office you're handling in Nigeria. If law and order is applied to every citizen of Nigeria, Nigeria will be a better place.
When it was like in Shangotedo, the time they were making the road like the Lekki Express Road, so I had an emergency, so I had to follow one way because they were making the road. They were doing the road that time. Sometimes they will ask you to cross there. I thought it's the same time. So I got to follow one way, and they arrested me, you know. But we finally settled it. They took money from me.
Well, well, we're in Lagos. I can say for Lagos, they're actually doing it. They're trying. But other parts of the country, I don't think so. Because I can remember when an incident I had when I was coming back from Benin on road. I noticed that a particular bus, GEO, I don't know if you heard this on the news, was attacked by armed men. And on that road, I noticed that there was no police, there were no security officers, there were no police officers on the road. And the next thing we saw were vigilante groups that were coming. They just came, they looked at the car, and they left. And that was it. And it's so bad because those people were families, like they were families, people, their families were there in that bus. They had to, you know, those people took them away into the bush, and that was it. We've not heard anything from them again. We only heard an official report from GEO stating that the bus left Lagos empty, and also that the driver, because the driver was shot at gunpoint, was shot on the spot. So we've heard that the bus left Lagos empty and probably picked up passenger on the road. And you know, that kind of thing is so bad for a country like Nigeria. You know, the roads are not safe, and you hear our airspace, the flight fees are so high. I don't know if our politicians are also involved in all this. So it's so bad, so bad. Yeah.
Not really, they are not. I feel any policeman you see on the road is just not after doing the right thing. They're just to see the right thing like an opportunity for them to extort money from the person, not for the person to face the law. Because if you caught someone doing against the law, the person's supposed to face consequences. All of that, but there was none. They just collect money from you, and me too, I want to go.
So there you have it. Lagosians sharing their ordeal, their experience with the Nigerian police. And like I would say that we have deep-rooted issues here that needs urgent attention. And this is me calling on the current IGP, the newly appointed IGP, Olatunji Diso, that please fix what is going on in the Nigerian police force. Now, we've seen what you've done in the last couple of weeks. We want that to continue. We want more of accountability. But most importantly, just ensure that these guys are paid well, they're fed well, you know, they sleep well, and they would be able to discharge it. Hopefully, they'll be able to discharge their duty.
Apart from those things, I think that what should be at the top of that training should be training about humanity. Let the police get to understand
intelligence.
Yeah, emotional intelligence, understand humanity, understand that the people you're protecting are humans. They're not animals. They really need to understand that, because if you understand that you're dealing with humans, then you wouldn't be pulling a trigger at the slightest mistake. You're pulling the trigger. You wouldn't do that. And yeah, then you really need to understand emotional intelligence, because you need to be sympathetic. Being underpaid, being poorly fed is not an excuse to be mean to your fellow humans. Because the people you're extorting money from, they are also suffering. Some of them are underpaid as well. Some of them don't even have a job. They're just
trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, they're barely surviving. So you're not the only one who's going through it. We're all going through it.
We have a couple of tweets, and we'll take it right here. Onu Lowapo says, there is no check and balances for the Nigerian police force. A police officer can easily pick someone off the streets, profile him or her, illegally arrest him or her, detain him or her based on stereotype, and there's no one to hear him or hear out. Police is your worst nightmare, I beg. Okay.
And the police complaint says the CRU is available 24/7 to receive and resolve complaints of police misconduct and accolades from all parts of Nigeria. All cases must have date, time, and place of occurrence. Well, he listed the numbers. The number to call, 091-333-33785. Another one is 091-333-33786. And another one is 080 57000001 and 08057000002. You can send SMS to that one and also call the WhatsApp number.
The WhatsApp number is 08057000003. And then on Twitter as well at pleaseng_CRU. We have this comment right here, and this is from Wisdom that says, instead of waiting for oppressed or victims to report cases, why don't the police create a spy unit where their job mainly is to find corrupt police officials? Post them to all police stations across the country. This will help stop bail receivable. Okay. So now we're even talking about, what the first person talked about, how, you could be arrested. And it just took me back to some persons who are currently in jail or in prison for something that they did not do. So it's in Lagos, I know that there are some days that the police guys will just move around, raid a particular area, and then they pick up the boys and take them to this. If you're not able to bail yourself, they take you to the station and they ask you to write a statement. Now, if you're not able to write even if you're able to write a statement, it's more like Otilo. It's finished for you if you don't have anyone to call.
When you witness crime, you cannot report to the police, because if they cannot capture the actual culprit, they would hold you responsible.
Yeah.
So reporting crime to the police is a risky thing to do. It's not entirely advisable, and that's really bad, because you should be free to go to the police to report whatever crime. Yeah, that's true. Why are you giving me that look? It's true. Imagine something happens right now. Maybe there's a robbery attack right now, or somebody just got murdered right now, and you go report to the police. If they come and they can't find the culprit, they're going to hold you and say that you're the one who committed the offense. It has happened a couple of times. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it is not news, which is why people are scared of reporting crime to the police. If something happens, they just keep it under the wraps.
Or even helping out. People are so scared of even helping out, especially if it involves the Nigerian police force, because
especially
it could
when it's also a life and death situation. So moving ahead, well, like you said, the police needs proper training. As for the salary, I'll think about it whether or not they should increase their pay.
That's so fun on you, though. But I mean, we're laughing about this, but it's a very serious conversation.
Yeah.
And I would call again on the current Inspector General of Police. Please look into this. Call your men to order.
And they should also have body cams. If we have body cams, we would get to know if the shots that have been fired were a mistake or intentional. You would be able to see the entire incident through a body cam. So that is something that the police should really look into.
Yeah, I completely agree. My name is Esther Melo, and it has been an amazing time, having this conversation on police brutality.
And I am Kelvin Raphael. Every Nigerian citizen out there, ensure you know your right.
Thanks for watching. Bye.